Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Smartboard Tuesdays. I'm Jeff Seville, Executive Director here at CEI. We have a great guest today, one of our founding mentors here at CEI, Jen Arricale.
Hello.
And she is going to talk to us about the stuff that doesn't always get a lot of play in a startup, but it's super important in a startup.
That's right, Jeff. Well, basically what I get a lot of questions from people is, do I need a controller? What does a CFO do that a bookkeeper or a controller doesn't do? What is a bookkeeper supposed to be doing? In any organization, you always need, and the quality of your information starts with the quality at the bookkeeper level. The detail, maintenance, and technical information that the bookkeeper is responsible for is absolutely vital to everything else that's going to go on in your organization and anything these higher level people would need to do with that information. And these are the kind of things you should expect your bookkeeper to be handling every day as their responsibility. Billing, that's important. You want to make sure your customers are getting billed on time and correctly. You've got payables. That obviously is super important. You want to make sure your vendors are getting paid timely and the correct amount and not at a certain amount twice. You don't want that to happen. Taxes, you've got all sorts of sales tax, the IRS, other use taxes, financial statements, payroll and benefits. That's typically something a bookkeeper and or controller will be responsible for. All the assets of your organizations, all the debt, all the reporting requirements. The next step is a controller who's more of a guardian for the company. The controller needs to be a more collaborative personality as well, because they're going to be getting into some serious relationships on behalf of the organization. So by the time your company needs a controller, you have multiple people in accounting, probably one person doing AP, one person doing AR, maybe a payroll clerk. So now this controller is going to help bring everything together and be the guardian, the point of contact, the gatekeeper, if you will, for all the information that's flowing into the different accounting personnel and making sure there's a consistent and correct application of the technical rules while also making sure that the bigger picture of what the organization is trying to do is being reflected in the books as well. These are all the major relationships that are very important to your organization. Your customers. Even though you may have a sales force that works with customers, I guarantee you your controller is going to be dealing with your larger customers on payment terms, issues, billing matters on a regular basis. Your vendors, you should be able to depend on your controller to negotiate the best terms possible for the company. Managers within your organization, as your company grows and you have various departments that have managers, whether it's manufacturing, sales, production, research and development, all those people are going to ultimately have some interaction with accounting, and you need to make sure you have a controller that is a people person and can work collaboratively with all those other manager heads in your organization. Bankers, that's a very important one for obvious reasons. Banking, like anything else, is a very competitive environment out there, and if your bankers aren't doing the best possible negotiating on your behalf as a company, it's your controller or CFO who should be challenging them to do that. Always be looking for your best interest. Your shareholders, that's another group, and investors. The government, anytime there's an audit or when you're dealing with sometimes permits or licensing. IT, that's a big relationship that people in accounting have got to, you need to hold them accountable to play nice with IT. The accounting department has some very vigorous needs. IT is typically overloaded. You need to have someone in there at the CFO or controller level who can look at the two often opposing forces and help mend the gap and decide what is the best use of the company's resources and time. The third level, at a CFO level, very few companies need a full-time strategist, influential person, and driver. Down here, relationships really become more important, and the controller is kind of the first step to someone representing your organization to the outside world. This is what I've seen typically. As the complexity of a business increases, as well as the volume of transactions increase, that's when your needs start to change. the controller and bookkeeper together can take it to a certain point, but once you get a high complex combined with a high volume business, that's when a CFO on a full-time basis might make sense.
Quick question for you. What's your golden nugget if this piece doesn't take place right up at the beginning of a startup?
What I suggest, Jeff, is that it's never too late to start, and anyone looking from the outside in will be very appreciative of the fact that at some point in time you did take a corrective action. And when you hire a good, new, solid bookkeeper, as of today, one of the things you should ask them to do over time, as your budget and their time allows, is to go back and to try to clean up some of the prior periods, if possible.
So there you have it. It's not the most exciting topic, no offense, Jen,
no.
but super important when we're building these startup companies that we spend a lot of time on this subject. We're going to go ahead and scan the board, and we'll have this image up next to the video.